Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead and looked at the readings on his scanner again. The numbers were too good to be true. The entire northern ridge of Zarian 7 was packed with rare metals that human ships needed for their faster-than-light drives. This moon was supposed to be empty, just another dead rock orbiting a gas giant, but it was turning out to be the find of the century. "Lisa, come look at this," Jake called to his team scientist. Lisa Carter was kneeling near a strange metal post that stuck out of the ground. She had been studying it for the past hour. "Just a minute, Jake. This marking is really weird," Lisa said without looking up. She brushed dirt away from symbols carved into the metal. "These aren't natural. Someone put this here." Jake walked over to her, his boots crunching on the rocky ground. The air on Zarian 7 was thin but breathable, and the gravity was lighter than Earth's. It made walking feel like bouncing. "What kind of someone?" "I don't know yet. The metal is old, maybe hundreds of years." Lisa stood up and pointed to more posts scattered across the landscape. "There are dozens of them. They form some kind of pattern." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. His military training told him that patterns meant purpose, and purpose meant intelligence. "Pack up the equipment. We're leaving." "What?" "Jake, we just got here. The mineral readings are incredible. The company will make billions from this place, and we'll be dead if we stay." Jake activated his communication device. "Ryan, Amy, get back to the ship now. We're leaving." Ryan Brooks was placing explosive charges near a cliff face 2 kilometers away. His voice crackled through the radio. "Boss, I'm not done with the geological survey. Give me another hour." "No, now, Ryan." Amy Foster was collecting soil samples near the landing site. "Jake, what's wrong? Did you find something dangerous?" Before Jake could answer, the ground began to shake. It wasn't an earthquake. Something big was moving underground, and it was moving fast toward their position. "Everyone to the ship, now." Jake grabbed Lisa's arm and started running toward their landing craft. The Meridian was a small survey vessel built for speed rather than comfort. Right now, Jake wished it was built for fighting. The shaking stopped. The silence was worse than the noise. Lisa pulled out her translation computer and connected it to the metal post. "Jake, I'm getting readings. There's some kind of signal coming from these markers." "Leave it. We're going." "No, wait. The computer's translating something. It says this is a hunting ground." Jake stopped running. "Hunting ground for what?" "I don't know, but there's more. It says trespassers will be killed and eaten." "Jake, I think we just walked into someone else's territory." A sound echoed across the landscape. It was like a roar, but longer and more intelligent. It was answered by another roar from the opposite direction, then another from behind them. "They're surrounding us," Jake whispered. Ryan's voice came through. The radio panicked. "Boss, there's something moving in the rocks. It's big and it's fast, and it's heading your way." Jake looked around. The metal posts were placed on high ground, giving whoever put them there a perfect view of the entire area. They had walked right into a trap. "Amy, can you see the ship from where you are?" "Yes, but there's something between me and it." "Something that wasn't there before." Jake pulled out his weapon, a standard plasma rifle. It felt small in his hands. "Everyone listen carefully. These things, whatever they are, they've been watching us. They let us land, let us spread out, and now they're moving in." Lisa's computer beeped. More translation data appeared on the screen. "Jake, I'm getting more information. These creatures call themselves Krelthi. They're hunters. They've been using this moon as a training ground for young warriors." Training ground for what? Hunting and killing other species. The first Krelthi appeared on a ridge about 100 meters away. It was huge, at least 8 feet tall, with gray-green skin that seemed to change color as Jake watched. It had 4 arms, each ending in claws that looked like knives.
Hey.
Its head was long and narrow, with teeth that Jake could see even at this distance. "Lisa, tell me you found something about their weaknesses." "They're pack hunters. They like to toy with their prey before killing it." "Jake, there's something else. The computer says there are 2 different groups here. They don't like each other." A second Krelthi appeared on the opposite ridge. This one was bigger than the first, with scars covering its arms and chest, made a sound that was part roar and part speech. The first Krelthi answered with its own call. Jake didn't need a translator to understand that they were arguing about something. "They're deciding who gets to kill us first," Lisa said, her voice shaking. "Maybe we can use that." Jake activated his radio. "Ryan, Amy, can you hear me? We're here, boss. There are two groups of these things. They don't like each other. If we can get them fighting each other instead of us, we might have a chance." "How do we do that?" Jake watched as more Krelthi appeared on both ridges. There were at least 20 of them now, split into two groups that kept making threatening gestures at each other. "Ryan, how much explosive do you have left? Enough to bring down half this mountain." "Good." "Set charges between the two groups. When I give the signal, blow them." "That might make them angry, boss." "They're already angry. The question is whether they'll be angry at us or at each other." The largest Krelthi, the one with scars, jumped down from its ridge and started walking toward Jake and Lisa, its claws left deep. Marks in the rocky ground with each step. The other group's leader did the same thing. Both groups were moving toward the humans, but they were also moving toward each other. "Jake," Lisa whispered, "I don't think this is going to work." "It has to work." Jake raised his rifle. "'Cause if it doesn't, we're all dead." The two Krelthi leaders met halfway between their groups. They circled each other like wild animals, making sounds that were clearly threats. Behind them, their followers spread out in fighting formation. "Now, Ryan." The explosion lit up the landscape. Rock and dust flew everywhere. When the smoke cleared, both groups of Krelthi were on opposite sides of a new crater, and they were very angry. The scarred leader roared at the other group, clearly blaming them for the explosion. The other leader roared back. "Run," Jake said quietly. "On now, while they're fighting each other." They ran toward the ship as the two groups of Krelthi began their battle. Claws flashed, blood flew, and the sounds of combat echoed across Zarian 7. But as they reached the ship, Jake realized their problem wasn't solved. It was just beginning. Some of the Krelthi had broken away from the main fight and were following them, and these ones looked hungry. Jake slammed his hand on the ship's emergency button, but nothing happened. The engines were dead. Sparks flew from the control panel as he tried again. "The explosion damaged something," Amy Foster said from behind him. She was their team medic, but she knew enough about machines to see the problem. "The electrical system is fried." Through the ship's windows, Jake could see 3 Krelthi moving toward them. They were smaller than the leaders, but their claws looked just as sharp. Behind them, the two main groups were still fighting each other, but these 3 had decided the humans were easier prey. "Everyone grab what you can carry," Jake ordered. "Food, water, weapons, medical supplies." "We're leaving the ship." "Where are we going?" Lisa asked, stuffing her translation computer into her backpack. "Down." Jake pointed to a cave opening near the base of the cliff. "Those tunnels might lead somewhere safe." Ryan Brooks was loading explosive charges into his pack. His hands were shaking. "Boss, I don't like tight spaces." "The war, you know? Too many memories?" Jake put his hand on Ryan's shoulder. Ryan had fought in the Centauri War 3 years ago. He had seen things that gave him nightmares.
"I know, Ryan."
"But it's better than being eaten." First Krelthi reached the ship and started climbing up the side. Its claws made horrible scratching sounds on the metal hull. Jake could hear it testing the airlock door. "Move, now." They ran from the ship toward the cave. Jake looked back and saw the Krelthi tear the airlock door off like it was made of paper. The creature stuck its head inside the ship. It's probably looking for them. The cave opening was narrow, just wide enough for one person at a time. Jake went first, holding his rifle ready. The tunnel was dark and smelled like old water. "Lisa, can your computer work down here? The battery should last a few hours." "But I'm not getting any signals from those marker posts." They moved deeper into the tunnel. The walls were smooth, worn down by water over many years. Jake's flashlight showed more tunnels branching off in different directions. "This whole moon is like a maze," Amy said. "We could get lost down here forever." A roar echoed through the tunnels behind them. The Krelthi had found the cave entrance. "They are coming," Ryan whispered. His voice was tight with fear. Jake stopped at a place where 3 tunnels met. We split up. Lisa, you go left. Amy, take the right tunnel. Ryan, you're with me. We'll go straight. Jake, that's a terrible idea, Lisa said. We should stay together. If we stay together, they'll kill all of us at once. If we split up, maybe, some of us will survive. Jake handed Lisa a radio. Check in every 10 minutes. If you don't hear from someone, assume they're dead. Lisa's eyes were wide with fear, but she nodded. Amy gave her a quick hug, then headed down the right tunnel. Lisa went left, her flashlight beam getting smaller until it disappeared. Jake and Ryan moved down the center tunnel. The walls here were covered with more of the strange symbols they had seen on the surface. Ryan, you okay? Yeah, boss. Hey, just thinking about the war. These tunnels remind me of the underground bases on Centaura 4. What happened there? Ryan was quiet for a moment. My squad got trapped underground for 3 days. Enemy kept sending gas down the tunnels. We had to keep moving or die. Only 4 of us made it out. Jake heard something behind them. Footsteps, but too many of them. The Krelthi had 4 legs each, so their running sounded different from humans. They're getting closer. The tunnel opened into a large underground room. Jake's flashlight showed old bones scattered on the floor. Some of them looked human-sized. This is where they bring their prey, Ryan said. Look at the walls. Jake pointed his light at the walls. They were covered with carvings showing Krelthi hunting different kinds of creatures. Some of the creatures in the pictures had 2 legs and 2 arms, just like humans. They've been doing this for a long time, Jake said. But look at this. Pointed to one section of the wall. The carving showed Krelthi running away from something. Creatures chasing them were smaller, but there were many more of them. Someone fought back, Ryan said. Someone made them run. Jake's radio crackled. Amy's voice came through, full of static. Jake, I found something. There are more bones down here, but these are different. These are Krelthi bones. What do you mean? I mean, something killed them. Something tore them apart. Lisa's voice joined the conversation. I'm seeing the same thing. There are old battle sites down here. But Jake, I'm also picking up new signals on my computer. What kind of signals? Think there's another Krelthi down here, an old one. The computer is translating something about a prime stalker. Jake felt ice in his stomach. How old? Very old? Maybe the oldest one alive. A new sound echoed through the tunnels. It was deeper than the roars they had heard before, and it seemed to come from everywhere at once. That's not good, Ryan said. The 3 Krelthi who had been chasing them suddenly appeared at the tunnel entrance. But when they heard the deep roar, they stopped. Jake could see fear in their yellow eyes. One of them made a sound that was almost like speech. The others answered in the same way. Then all 3 of them bowed their heads toward the deeper part of the cave system. They're scared, Jake realized. Whatever made that sound, even the Krelthi are afraid of it. His radio crackled again. This time it was Lisa, and she sounded terrified. Jake, you need to get down here now. I found the prime stalker, and it's still alive. But Jake, that's not the worst part. What's the worst part? It's been watching us since we landed. It let the other Krelthi hunt us, because it wanted to see how we would fight. It's been testing us. The deep roar came again, closer this time. The 3 Krelthi at the tunnel entrance looked at each other. Then at Jake and Ryan. One of them pointed deeper into the caves and made a sound that didn't need translation. It's telling us to go deeper, Ryan said. It wants us to meet this prime stalker. Why would it do that? It's maybe because it's more afraid of what's down there than it is of us. Jake looked at the Krelthi. They were still pointing toward the deeper tunnels. Their body language had changed. They weren't acting like hunters anymore. They were acting like prey. Mamie's voice came through the radio. I can see light ahead, but it's not sunlight. It's coming from some kind of underground chamber. Coming to you, Jake, said. Everyone head toward Amy's position. As they moved deeper into the cave system, Jake realized something important. The Krelthi weren't just hunting them anymore. Something else was hunting all of them, humans and Krelthi together. And whatever it was, it had been waiting for them to come down into its domain. The 3 Krelthi followed behind them. It's no longer enemies, but fellow prey in something much bigger. And more dangerous than any of them had expected. Jake just hoped they would all live long enough to find out what it was. The underground chamber was huge. Jake's flashlight couldn't reach the other side. Strange blue light came from crystals growing on the walls, making everything look like it was underwater. Amy was kneeling next to something that looked like a pile of rocks. When Jake got closer, he saw it was actually a very old Krelthy. Its skin was almost black with age, and scars covered its entire body. One of its eyes was missing. "Is it dead?" Ryan asked, keeping his distance. "No," Lisa said. Looking at her computer, "Sleeping, but it knows we're here." The computer says its name is Caxmore. It's been alive for over 300 years. The three younger Krelthy who had followed them stood at the edge of the chamber. They wouldn't come any closer to the old one. "Why are they so scared of it?" Jake asked. "Because it's the one who taught them how to hunt," Lisa said, reading from her screen. "It's their master, but Jake, there's something else." The computer found more information about those creatures in the wall carvings upstairs. "What about them?" "They were called the Valinari. They were hunters like humans. They walked on two legs, used tools, and they never gave up. They almost destroyed the Krelthy species before they disappeared." Jake looked at the old Krelthy. Even sleeping, it looked dangerous. What happened to them? Nobody knows. They just vanished one day, but the Krelthy never forgot them. That's why they practice hunting on different species. They're preparing in case the Valinari ever come back. Amy stood up from where she was examining the old creature. "Jake, I think it's waking up." The ancient Krelthy's one good eye opened. It was completely black, like looking into deep space. The creature didn't move, but Jake could feel it watching them. Then it spoke. Its voice was like rocks grinding together. Lisa's computer translated. It says, "The two legs return. The test begins again." "Test?" Jake asked. "What test?" The old Krelthy sat up slowly. Even sitting, it was taller than Jake. It pointed one clawed finger at him and spoke again. It says, "You must prove you are worthy hunters. If you fail, you die. If you succeed, you earn the right to leave this place. And if we don't want to, take the test." The old Krelthy made a sound like laughter. The three younger ones at the edge of the chamber suddenly looked hungry again. "I don't think we have a choice," Ryan said. Jake's radio crackled. It was a new voice speaking in broken English. "Humans, we hear you. We come for you." "Who is that?" Amy asked. Lisa checked her computer. "It's coming from the surface. I think it's the Krelthy leaders. The two groups must have stopped fighting each other. Why are they speaking English? It's because they want us to know they're coming. They're trying to scare us." The old Krelthy spoke again. Lisa translated. It says, "The real test is not down here. The test is whether you can survive what's coming for you." Jake looked around the chamber. Oh, there were several tunnel entrances, but he didn't know where they led. "Can we get out of here without going back to the surface?" "Maybe," Lisa said. "But Jake, I'm getting readings from my computer. There are more Krelthy down here than we thought. A lot more." "How many more?" "Maybe 30 or 40. They're spread out through the tunnel system." Amy checked her medical supplies. "I've got enough bandages and medicine for maybe 2 or 3 serious injuries. After that, we're on our own." Ryan opened his pack and counted his explosives. "Got enough charges to bring down a small building, but in these tunnels, using them might trap us." The old Krelthy stood up. It was even bigger than Jake had thought, maybe 9 feet tall. It walked to one of the tunnel entrances and pointed. "Inside, it wants us to go that way," Lisa said. "Why should we trust it? Because it's giving us a choice. We can take the test, or we can wait here for the others to find us." Jake looked at his team. Amy was scared but trying to hide it. Ryan was sweating, probably thinking about the war. Again, Lisa was the most calm, but Jake could see her hands shaking. "What exactly is this test?" Jake asked. The old Krelthy spoke for a long time. Lisa listened to the translation, her eyes getting wider. "It says we have to prove we're better hunters than the Krelthy. We have to hunt them before they hunt us." "But Jake, there's more. It says the Krelthy have been waiting for creatures like us to return. They've been preparing for 300 years. Preparing how? They've been practicing. Every species they've hunted, Every world they've conquered, it was all practice for fighting the Velinari again. For fighting us. Jake felt a chill. So they're not just random hunters. They're an army that's been training to fight humans. Not just humans. Any species that hunts back instead of running away. The radio crackled again. This time the voice was closer, humans. We smell your fear. Come to the deep places. You cannot hide. The old Krelthi made that grinding laugh sound again, spoke to the three younger ones at the edge of the chamber. They bowed their heads, then disappeared into the tunnels. What did it tell them? Jake asked. It told them to go tell the others that the test has begun. The young ones have to prove themselves by hunting us. But if we kill them, we prove we're the better hunters. If we prove we're better hunters, then the Krelthi will serve us instead of trying to kill us. Jake looked at his team again. They were just for humans with basic weapons, facing an entire species of trained killers in their own territory. Ryan, can you rig some traps with your explosives? Yeah, but I'll need time to set them up. Amy, how well do you know Krelthi biology? I know they're strong and fast, but they're also warm-blooded. They'll show up on heat sensors. Lisa, keep monitoring their communications. I want to know where they are and what they're planning. The old Krelthi spoke again. This time its voice sounded almost respectful. It says the two legs begin to think like hunters. Good. The test will be interesting. Jake looked around the chamber one more time. And let's give them a test they'll never forget. As they prepared to enter the tunnels, Jake realized something important. The Krelthi expected them to run and hide like prey, but humans had evolved differently. Humans were persistence hunters. Didn't run from predators. They followed them until the predators got tired and then they killed them. The Krelthi were about to learn why humans had survived on a world full of dangerous animals. They were about to learn what it meant to be hunted by something that never gave up. Jake led his team through the tunnel that the old Krelthi had shown them. The walls here were different. Instead of smooth stone, they were covered with metal plates that had symbols carved deep into them. Lisa, what do these say? Lisa held up her computer to scan the symbols. They're like a history book. They tell the story of the Great War between the Krelthi and the Velinari. What does it say happened? The Velinari came from a world with lots of dangerous animals, just like Earth. They learned to hunt by following their prey for days until it got tired. The Krelthi had never faced anything like that before. Ryan was setting small explosive charges in cracks in the tunnel walls. How many Velinari were there? Not many. Maybe a few thousand. But they were so good at hunting that they almost won the war anyway. Amy was checking the tunnel behind them with a heat sensor. Jake, I'm reading movement back there. Least 6 heat signatures, moving this way. How far? Maybe 5 minutes away? Jake looked ahead. The tunnel split into 3 directions. We need to make a choice. We keep running, or do we make a stand? Boss, I've got an idea, Ryan said. His hands had stopped shaking. Setting the charges was helping him focus.
Oh.
These tunnels are old.
Right.
If I place the explosives right, I can make them collapse in a specific pattern. What kind of pattern? I can trap some of the Krelthi in dead ends while creating escape routes for us. But I need time to set it up. How much time? 20 minutes? Maybe 30? Jake's radio crackled. A new voice spoke in English, but with a strange accent. Humans, this is Commander Zethkar. We offer you a chance to surrender. Jake picked up the radio. This is Jake Morrison. What are your terms? You come to the surface. You kneel before our leaders. We kill you quickly instead of slowly. That's not much of an offer. It is more than most prey receives. You have shown courage. We respect courage, even in food, Amy whispered. They still think we're just animals. Jake thought about that. Zethkar, let me make you an offer. Send one of your warriors to face me in single combat. If he wins, we surrender. If I win, you'll leave us alone. There was a long silence on the radio. Then Zethkar laughed. You wish to fight a Krelthi warrior with honor? This is interesting, but you misunderstand. This is not about honor. This is about teaching our young hunters how to kill your species. Young hunters aren't doing very well so far. Another voice came on the radio. This one sounded angrier. Human, this is Apex Hunter Vextal. 3 of our warriors have not returned from the deep tunnels. What did you do to them? Jake smiled. We taught them what it feels like to be prey. Impossible. Krelthi are not prey. Krelthi are hunters. Then why are 3 of your warriors dead? The radio went quiet. Jake could hear the 2 Krelthi leaders arguing with each other in their own language. Lisa was still reading the symbols on the walls. Jake, I found something important. The Velinari didn't just disappear. They left this place and went somewhere else. But they left a message. What kind of message? It says, to those who come after us, the key to defeating the Krelthi is not strength or speed, it is patience. Make them come to you. Make them angry. Angry hunters make mistakes. Ryan looked up from his explosives. That's good advice. The Krelthi we've seen so far have been acting on instinct. They attack fast and hard, but they don't think about traps. Amy's heat sensor beeped. They're getting closer. Maybe 3 minutes now. Jake made his decision. Ryan, how many charges do you have left? Enough for one big trap. Set him up. Amy, find us a defensible position. Lisa, keep reading those symbols. I want to know everything the Velinari learned about fighting these things. The radio crackled again. This time it was the old Krelthi's voice speaking in perfect English. Young human, you learn quickly. But learning and surviving are different things. You can speak English? I have been listening to your species' radio signals for 50 years. I know your language better than you think. Then you know we're not going to give up. Yes. That is why the test is necessary. The Krelthi must learn to fight enemies who do not surrender. Jake heard footsteps in the tunnel behind them. Multiple sets of footsteps, moving fast. Prime. Stalker, why do you want us to fight your own people? Because my people have grown weak. They have spent 300 years hunting creatures that run away. They have forgotten how to fight creatures that fight back. Do you want us to teach them? I want you to kill the weak ones. Only the strong should survive to face what is coming. What's coming? But the radio went dead. Ryan finished setting. His charges, boss. They're set up. When the Krelthi come through that tunnel, I can bring down half the ceiling on them. How many will that stop? Maybe half of them. The rest will keep coming. Amy found a chamber with only one entrance. This is as good as it gets. We can make a stand here. Lisa was still reading the wall symbols. Jake, there's more here. The Velinari fought the Krelthi for 10 years. They won most of the battles, but they were outnumbered. Had to leave because more Krelthi kept coming from other worlds. How many other worlds? The symbols say the Krelthi control over 100 planets. Each planet has millions of warriors. Jake felt cold. We're not just fighting a hunting party. We're fighting an empire. But Jake, there's something else. The Velinari found a weakness. Krelthi society is based on strength. If you can defeat their strongest leaders, the others will follow you. The footsteps were getting louder. Jake could see lights moving in the tunnel. Ryan, get ready with those charges. Amy, set up your medical station. Lisa, find anything else that might help. Us. Jake, Amy said quietly. Even if we win this fight, how do we get off this moon? Our ship is destroyed. One problem at a time. The first Krelthi warrior appeared in the tunnel entrance. It was one of the younger ones they had seen before. But now it looked different. Its eyes were focused and intelligent. It wasn't acting like a mindless predator anymore. Behind it, Jake could see more warriors. They had learned to move more carefully, more quietly. They're adapting, Jake realized. They're learning from their mistakes. Boss, Ryan whispered, should I blow the charges? Gah. Jake watched the lead Krelthi warrior. It was testing the ground with each step, looking for traps. It had learned to be cautious. Not yet. Let them get closer. We need to be careful. We need to teach them that careful isn't always enough. The warrior moved forward, followed by 5 others. They spread out in a pattern that would make it hard to trap all of them at once. Now they're thinking like soldiers instead of animals, Jake said. This is going to be interesting. Jake watched the 6 Krelthi warriors move closer. They had learned to work as a team, checking each corner and shadow before advancing. But Jake had learned something too. He'd learned to wait. Ryan, when I give the signal, blow the charges. But only the ones on the right side. Why not all of them? 'Cause I want them to think they found our trap. The lead Krelthy warrior spotted one of Ryan's explosive charges. It made a hand signal to the others, and they all stopped moving. The warrior pointed to the charge and spoke in its own language. They found it, Amy whispered. Good. Now they think they're smart. The Krelthy warriors moved to the left side of the tunnel, avoiding the explosive they had spotted. They were walking right into the real trap. Now, Ryan. The explosion shook the entire tunnel. Rock and dust filled the air. When it cleared, 3 of the 6 warriors were buried under fallen stones. The other 3 were trapped on the wrong side of the collapse. But Jake could hear more footsteps coming from other tunnels. A lot more. Boss, we've got company coming from 3 directions, Amy said, checking her heat sensors. Jake's radio crackled. It was Commander Zethkar. Clever. Human. But you only delayed us. We have many more warriors.
How many more?
Enough. A new voice came on the radio. It was the Prime Stalker, human leader. It is time for the final test. You will face me in single combat. If you win, my people will serve yours. If you lose, your species dies here. That doesn't sound fair. It's 4 of us against 1 of you. No, it is you against me. Your companions may watch, but they cannot help. Jake looked at his team. Lisa was scared, but trying to hide it. Amy was checking her medical supplies. Ryan was loading his last few explosives. Jake, you can't fight that thing alone, Lisa said. It's 3 times your size and has 300 years of fighting experience. I don't have a choice. Don't fight it. We all die anyway. The old Krelthy's voice came through the radio again. Come to the Great Chamber, human. We finish this as it should be finished. Hunter against hunter. Jake gave his rifle to Ryan. If something happens to me, get the others out of here. Boss, I'm not leaving you. It's an order, Ryan. Your job is to get them home and tell Earth what happened here. Jake walked back through the tunnels toward the Great Chamber where they had first met the Prime Stalker. His footsteps echoed in the darkness. Behind him, he could hear his team following. At a distance, the Great Chamber was lit with more of the blue crystals now. The Prime Stalker stood in the center, waiting. It looked even bigger than before, and its one good eye watched Jake with ancient intelligence. Around the edges of the chamber, dozens of Krelthy warriors stood watching. Jake recognized Commander Zethkar, an apex hunter, Vextal among them. They were no longer fighting each other. They were united in watching this final contest. You came, the Prime Stalker said in English. Good. I was beginning to think your species had lost its courage. We never lost our courage. We just learned when to use it. Wise words. But wisdom will not save you here. The Prime Stalker moved forward. Even injured and old, it was incredibly fast. Its first attack almost caught Jake off guard. Claws whistled through the air, where his head had been a second before. Jake rolled to the side and came up running. He wasn't trying to attack yet. Was studying his opponent, learning its patterns. The Prime Stalker attacked again, a sweeping motion with all 4 arms. Jake ducked under it and kept moving. The old Krelthy was strong and fast, but it was also heavy. It couldn't change direction as quickly as Jake could. You run well, human, but running will only delay your death. I'm not running, I'm hunting. Had learned something important during their time in the tunnels. The Krelthy were used to prey that either ran away or fought back with desperate fury. They weren't used to prey that studied them, learned their weaknesses, and then exploited those weaknesses. The Prime Stalker lunged forward with incredible speed, but Jake had been watching its feet. He knew when it was going to attack by the way it shifted its weight. This time, instead of dodging away, Jake moved toward the attack. He slid under the Prime Stalker's reaching claws and came up behind it. Jake had no claws or fangs, but he had something the Krelthy didn't understand. He'd learned to use tools. The knife in his hand was small compared to Krelthy claws, but it was sharp, and he knew exactly where to put it. The blade slid between 2 of the old creature's ribs. The Prime Stalker roared in pain and spun around, but Jake was already moving. First, blood to the human, Jake said. Want to keep playing? The Prime Stalker looked at the blood running down its side, and it looked at Jake with something that might have been respect. You do not fight like prey, it said. That's because I'm not prey. I'm a predator from a world full of predators. And on my world, the most dangerous predators are the ones that look harmless. The fight continued for 20 minutes. The Prime Stalker was stronger and more experienced, but Jake was smarter and more patient. Every time the old Krelthy attacked, Jake learned something new. Every time Jake attacked, he aimed for a weakness he had discovered. Slowly, the Prime Stalker began to slow down. Its attacks became less precise. The old creature was getting tired. Jake waited for the right moment. When the Prime Stalker overextended itself on a particularly fierce attack, Jake moved inside its reach and struck at its throat. The knife found its mark. The Prime Stalker staggered backward, then fell to its knees. It is finished, the old creature said, its voice growing weak. You have proven your people are the stronger hunters. My people will remember this day. The Prime Stalker fell forward and was still. Jake looked around the chamber. Every Krelthy warrior was staring at him. Some looked afraid. Others looked angry. But all of them looked like they were seeing something they had never expected to see. Commander Zethkar stepped forward. Human, you have defeated our greatest hunter. By our laws, we must acknowledge your people as the superior predators. Does that mean? It means the Krelthy will not hunt humans anymore? It means we will serve your species as we once served the Prime Stalker? Jake picked up his radio. Ryan, Amy, Lisa, get down here. We need to talk about getting off this moon. Ryan's voice came back immediately. Boss, I've got good news. I'm picking up signals from orbit. There's a human fleet up there. How did they find us? I sent out a distress signal before our ship was destroyed. Help is on the way. Jake looked at the Krelthy warriors around him. They were dangerous, but they were also honorable in their own way. They had kept their word about the combat. Zethkar, I want you to send a message to your leaders on other worlds. Tell them that humans are not prey. Tell them we're the ones they've been preparing to fight for 300 years. And what should we tell them about the outcome of that preparation? Jake looked down at the body of the Prime Stalker. The greatest hunter in Krelthy history had been defeated by a human with a knife. Tell them that the Velinari have returned. And this time, we're not leaving. 6 months later, Jake stood on the surface of Zarian 7 again. The moon was now a human colony, with Krelthy workers helping to mine the rare metals. The partnership was strange, but it worked. Jake had kept his promise to the Prime Stalker. The strong had survived, and they had learned to respect humanity. The weak had either died in the tunnels or learned to follow the new order. The galaxy was a different place now. Humanity had taken its place as the apex predator species, and other alien civilizations were starting to take notice. Jake looked up at the stars and smiled. Earth had sent him to survey a dead moon for minerals. Instead, he had found humanity's destiny among the stars. The hunt was just beginning.